Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey.
Why this beat so crazy?
We will make America proud again. And you try to kill our citizens. We will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Win after win after win.
Okay, yes. So this is at least a partial, if not a full, and we're reading this because there are several concurrences here, but it's written by Justice Barrett, which goes against the ruling that I just gave the guidance because she's one of the least junior justices, but she was assigned to write this opinion. And essentially what she says some say that the universal injunctions give the judiciary a powerful tool to check the executive branch, but she says federal courts do not exercise general oversight of the executive branch. They resolve cases and controversies consistent with the authority Congress has given to them. When a court concludes the executive branch has acted unlawfully, the answer is not for the court to exceed its power, sounding very much like they are limiting these injunctions. We know here that they have granted at least partially the stay to these preliminary injunctions, but they say only to the extent that the injunctions are broader than necessary to provide complete relief to each plaintiff with standing to sue. They say the lower courts have to move expeditiously with respect to each of these plaintiffs. It says the injunctions are also stayed to the extent that they prohibit executive agencies from developing and issuing public guidance about the executive plans to implement the executive order. If you remember, part of this executive order on birthright citizenship, the stay was that the agencies that would be responsible for actually implementing the change with birthright citizenship, those agencies couldn't even start making a plan. So that part of it is lifted as well. We do see that the dissent here comes from the three justices you expect. It looks like Justice Sotomayor filed the dissent. Kagan and Jackson joined that. Justice Jackson also filed a dissenting opinion, but there are a lot of concurrences here. Justice Thomas, Justice Alito, there are others. So we'll parse through this, but at its first blush, it looks like this is a win in putting a limit on these nationwide injunctions. We'll see how far those limits go as we dig back through this.
Religious liberty and whether parents should be informed and be able to opt their children out from reading books in the classroom that go against their faith. Shannon Bream is at the Supreme Court. We were watching for this one. What's the verdict?
We were, Dana. So this brought together a coalition of parents of different religious faiths and backgrounds who said there used to be a rule in this particular school district that would let them know when there were books that dealt with issues that may be in conflict with their religious faith. Well, so many parents were opting out that the school board and the school district quit doing it. Well, 6-3 today in a decision by Justice Alito, they said these parents have earned at least a preliminary injunction. So while this case plays out, they said the board has to notify them about a book that's in question or anything similar so that their kids can be excused if it's in conflict with their faith. He says, as we've explained, without that, parents are left this choice, either risk their child's exposure to burdensome instruction or pay substantial sums for alternative educational services. Because at one point, Justice Jackson during the arguments had said, why don't they just go to a different school? Why don't you put them in private school or homeschool them? Justice Alito and others saying that's not practical for a lot of people. The dissent by Justice Sotomayor, joined by Justices Kagan and Jackson, says today's ruling threatens the essence of public education. She says it's not about bringing kids together to learn about a particular faith, but a range of concepts and views that reflect our entire society. Exposure to new ideas has always been a vital part of that project until now. She didn't think the dissenters...
We cannot allow a handful of communist radical left judges to obstruct the enforcement of our laws and assume the duties that belong solely to the President of the United States. Judges are trying to take away the power given to the President to keep our country safe, and it's not a good thing. But I hope for the sake of our country that the Supreme Court is going to save this, because we have to do something. These people are just looking to destroy our country. Nothing will stop me in the mission to keep America safe again. It's very simple. Keep America safe again.
I tell you, I just want to tell you again and again, win after win. I got to take a sip of this sweet tea. Got to give me a sip of this sweet tea. Yeah, got my testosterone, my ginger, my turmeric, my B2 and 3s. that cayenne root pepper in there. Yeah, I done mixed it up today. I think I threw a little shine in there too, because we just keep winning. Shh, y'all better not tattletale. Y'all better not catch the family tattletelling now. I put a little shine in there now. Y'all better not catch y'all tattletelling. Y'all know we got hit upside the head if we was tattletelling on our family members back in the day. Yeah, why we got hit upside the head if you got caught tattletelling. Mama says you about to stop all that snitching. Mm-hmm. I'm drinking like them Democrats today. I'm drinking like how they do it. How they do it before they get on air. How Nancy Pelosi do it. How they do it. How Kamala do it. How Kamala do it. They mix the clear and the dark. We just keep winning. This was good. Another massive win by the Supreme Court. Yeah, buddy. Look at JD Vance. We finally got an actual vice president. We know who the borders is. We know who's over here. Yeah, this is good. This is real good. Another 6-3 ruling. Oh, this is good. God, it's good. Common sense is coming back to America. Oh, man. Boy. No more this. Get this woke crap out of here. We need to put these judges on the plane. Get rid of these rogue judges. Impeach them. Yeah. Yeah, the people spoke loud and clear. The majority of America spoke loud and clear, y'all. I couldn't wait to get into it. Hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful week so far. Getting ready for the weekend. You know, I love y'all, family. I'm going to keep coming on here and being real with y'all, man. We got to keep breaking this news to you. You know, are you tired of winning? Let me know in the comments. Are you tired of winning? Hey. I want to see what Benny talking about. What old crazy Benny talking about with his black tee. We got them. Hey, only the real ones got them black tees. What them Patriots with them black tees? Yeah. $8.99 for a pack of 5. Was 4? How much? How much was it? Was it $8.99? That's still too high. They need to go back to like $3-4. That's still too high. Yeah, Trump. Somebody called Trump to get Trump on the phone. Tell him to get these pack of t-shirts down. They got to come down, man. Yeah, it don't cost them but 2 cents to make it. Come on, y'all. Come on down on that price. Yeah.
Of the studio, and it's for headlines like this: Trump slams gavel. Freaking go! Donald Trump with a round of massive culture war victories at the Supreme Court that is crumbling the left-wing pagan power throughout our culture, protecting our children, protecting our presidency, and protecting our nation. Win after win after win today. Let's just do the quick math here, shall we? Most nationwide injunctions, you know, they're kind of like, hey, we found a criminal alien gang member. We like him. You're not allowed to deport any criminal alien gang members. That was like what district judges were doing to Trump. Those are done. Those are unconstitutional. Finished. The Supreme Court saying effectively that those petitioners could potentially be protected if they have a lawyer and if they have the means to try and fight their deportations, if they can actually petition the court correctly, that no judge can just say all criminal aliens are protected forever. That's not allowed anymore. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
It has to be a case-by-case basis, which is, of course, the way that it has to work, right? Yeah, we're a nation of laws. Trump's birthright citizenship ban is now in effect. The court will rule on birthright citizenship, but of course, it's a suicidal and idiotic policy that was never intended to be a permanent policy of this country. Birthright citizenship effectively is cultural suicide. Some tourist from Uganda has a baby here, and they're allowed to, that baby's then allowed to be an American citizen with full vested rights? That's insane. Those are the laws on the books right now. Trump ended it, thank God, and it needs to be put an end to permanently, but Trump's ban is in effect right now. You're not allowed to go have a baby in China, and suddenly your baby's Chinese with all the rights of a Chinese citizen.
Man, they gon' walk your butt out of there. They walk your butt out in handcuffs. Yeah, send your butt right back here. Try it if you want to. All right.
Right? It's absurd, okay? Oh, my baby's Chinese now. That's insane. It's insane. Parents have a right to opt out of toxic propaganda from the alphabet community And transgender story time, beautiful. That's a Texas ruling there. And states can require age verification for porn sites. Very good. Obviously, limiting the degeneracy and toxicity of the porn industry on our children. These are obvious wins. These are massive
big
wins. Today, but this is correct. This is the biggest one. The biggest one is stopping the nationwide injunctions. Every single thing that Trump did, every move he made, it's become a running joke, right? District judge says Trump has to orders Trump to rebuild Iran's nuclear facilities. It's become a running joke, right? It's been so insane what they've done. It ends the tyranny in the black robes forever. Today, the Supreme Court instructed district courts to stop the endless barrage of nationwide injunctions against President Trump. This would not have been possible without the tireless work from our excellent lawyers at the Justice Department, Solicitor General. The Department of Justice will continue to zealously defend POTUS policies and implement them. This is massive. Huge breaking news. An opinion authored by Amy Coney Barrett, the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that rogue district judges imposing universal nationwide injunctions exceeded the equitable authority that Congress has given to the federal courts. It's a massive win for the Trump administration, rule of law, and for the American voters, and it speeds everything up. That's right. In fact, President Trump, upon this victory, has terminated the special protected status of 500,000 Haitians, a country with a median IQ of like 70. Check. So median IQ was a median. What is the median net worth and IQ of Haiti? And then ask yourself, like, why exactly? What is the point of immigration? Like, to our nation? Like, who are the kind of people that we want in this country? Right? You need to start asking major and important questions about the survival of our of the experiment of America, right? This is critical. It's a critical juncture right now. And if we said it a million times, we'll say it again. If you take the entire island of Haiti, okay, you take the millions of people and Haiti, you move every one of them off that barren rock in the middle of the Caribbean. You take every Haitian and you put them in Ohio, they don't become Americans or Ohioans. They just move. You just moved Haiti to Ohio. Haiti just moves to the physical location of Ohio. They'll bring their culture, their IQs. They'll bring their traditions, good and bad. They'll bring criminality and gang. I mean, go read any article about Haiti and like the collapsed anarcho-tyranny state that it is.
Y'all don't start that. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Y'all better not start that crap on this video. Y'all better not start it. And we did some research and deep dive into what was happening on ground. We seen what was actually happening on ground. Now, if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. But if you don't want to hear the truth, don't get offended. The truth is, it's out there. Yeah, buddy. The geese, the ducks started disappearing. We didn't know what was going on. Somebody went down a back alley and they had fireworks lit up, had them taped to the wall. Hey.
All of that to Ohio. It'll just be Haiti in what we know as Ohio. And Ohio then cease to exist. That's how it works. So upon these orders, Trump's now, boom, terminating the protected status of 500,000 Haitian migrants. Now it is time to go back, says DHS. They have to self-deport in 2 months. Trump losing no time. Massive victories for children. Alphabet tyranny can now be stopped. Supreme Court preserving sanity. Massive win today. Religious families can, of course, opt out of alphabet propaganda in school. Good. It's amazing that has to be decided, but
major wins today, man. We just keep winning. This is good.
Supreme Court has instructed district courts to stop the endless nationwide injunctions now. Left-wing judicial activism has been ended. President Trump deciding that he's going to hit hard at the birthright citizenship question. This is something that he cares a lot about. The birthright citizenship hoax has been indirectly hit hard. It has to do with the babies of slaves, same year. What he's talking about there is the whole point of this was in Reconstruction, Civil War, are the babies of slaves Americans or not? This was what the whole question was 150 years ago. This was not about like whether a Russian can come here and have a kid, a tourism baby, which is what happens. It happens all the time here in Florida. And that kid's now an American with full vested rights. Isn't it insane? They're two totally separate questions, obviously. Not scamming our immigration process. Congratulations to Pam Bondi, he says. And now the beatdowns begin. Oh, man. Amy Coney Barrett basically implied that Ketanji Brown Jackson is too dumb to read legalese. Literally her job description. She's the most unqualified Supreme Court justice in history, Ketanji Brown Jackson, who was nominated as a black woman. Tell me how that's legal. We have a civil rights law in this country. And then didn't know what a woman was, which is insane and hilarious. Still one of my favorite clips of all time. Justice Jackson skips over the part because analyzing the governing statute involves boring legalese, says Amy Coney Barrett, in an absolute beatdown of historic proportions. Amy Coney Barrett metaphorically just took her gavel and gutted Ketanji Brown Jackson. Look at this. Justice Jackson would do well to heed her own admonition. Everyone from the president on down is bound by the law. That goes for judges too. In one sentence, Barrett says Jackson is a DEI hire who's too stupid to be on the Supreme Court. That's my interpretation. We do not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this. Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary. Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful. In her majority opinion, Supreme Court nuking universal injunctions. Amy Coney Barrett just juked Ketanji Brown Jackson from orbit. You probably mean nuked, but both apply. But here it is. Embracing imperial judiciary. Yes. R.I.P. to the 47th president of the United States, Judge Boasberg. District judge has issued an injunction against Supreme Court, stating that they aren't his boss. The ruling stated, American liberal judges only answer to George Soros and no one else, huh? Daily reminder that Ketanji Brown Jackson, Supreme Court commission, was auto-penned for a person who lacked mental capacity and is therefore illegitimate. She's not a legitimate Supreme Court justice. Can we parts read the equitable authority that Congress has given to the federal courts? The courts grants government's application for partial stay of the injunctions entered below, but only to the extent that the injunctions are broader than necessary and provide complete relief to the plaintiff with standing to sue. SCOTUS 6-3 decision authored by Amy Coney Barrett. Justice Thomas, why are you looking like that?
Oh, Thomas. Brother Clarence.
Melty.
Brother Clarence, happy birthday. Happy belated, Brother Clarence. Yeah. David Hogg says, F the Supreme Court, F the Federalist Society, and F Mitch McConnell. Oh, boy. All right, David. Yeah, anyways, I'm not even going to say that on camera. I'm going to just take my wins in today and enjoy and celebrate with them Patriots.
Take down like a little testosterone-starved cuck that he is. Fuck the Supreme Court. F the Federalist Society. F Mitch McConnell. Got it. Okay. So much angry soy rage. Breaking. Judge that doesn't know what a woman is, doesn't know what an American citizen is either. That's exactly right. Ketanji Brown Jackson pauses oral arguments to ask Clarence Thomas, what is a constitution? The wins just keep coming, baby. Imagine what it would feel like to be a Democrat. USAID defunded. Dow skyrocketing. Rogue judges. Power limited. Iran nuclear capacity stifled. Zorhan is the leader of their party, the communist from New York. RNC has 5 times more cash than DNC. Criminal illegal aliens are being deported. President Trump is brokering peace deals. States will begin defunding Planned Parenthood. 128 Democrats voted against impeaching Donald Trump. White males like David Hogg are being kicked out of leadership positions of the DNC. And the Democratic Party literally has nothing to celebrate.
Yep, it's in the ditch.
Amazing. Just an absolute savaging at the Supreme Court and a beautiful result here. MSNBC having a real one, having a total and complete meltdown here, psychotically. And when liberal women are this angry, when childless women, liberal women are this angry, then it means something wonderful has happened.
Yes, indeed.
Okay? Get your salt shakers out. Here we go.
It is effectively yes. Yes, that's a distinct possibility, because if a state isn't allowed to obtain a nationwide injunction, then what the Supreme Court has said is every individual plaintiff, they can only get relief as to themselves individually and their children. So that means an individual, a U.S. citizen baby whose parents haven't obtained a lawyer, that the executive branch could deny them citizenship simply because they were not able to file a case to challenge the order as to them. That is just, I think, an appalling result, given how difficult and expensive it is to obtain lawyers. And again, we're talking about a very vulnerable population here. You know, individuals whose parents might be undocumented, who might be here without legal status, and you are requiring all of them to obtain lawyers to ensure their children are able to have their constitutional right of birthright citizenship.
Lisa, I know you want to weigh in too.
Yeah, I think a couple of things, Anna. One is...
And here, ladies and gentlemen, just for good measure, is the breakdown from Fox News of exactly all of the victories for President Trump at the Supreme Court today. Great Shannon Bream, she's an awesome reporter. She locks it all in, and
Justice Jackson wrote a dissent, and she said, I agree with everything that Justice Sotomayor said, but I have to add my own 2 cents to this thing, and boy, is it scorched earth. She goes on to say in her dissent, perhaps the degradation of our rule of law regime would happen anyway, but this court's complicity in the creation of a culture of disdain for lower courts, their rulings and the law as they interpret it, will surely hasten the downfall of our governing institutions, enabling our collective demise. She goes on from there, but clearly she sees this decision as something she obviously disagrees with, but as a very threat to the structure of our courts and our institutions as they now exist. I understand there is something that Justice Barrett said in the majority with respect to answering Justice Jackson's dissent. I'm trying to tick back to that, but also a reminder for folks, Justice Barrett was a law professor for a long time before she got into the world of being a federal judge. She also taught classes in civil procedure, which is one of the first things that I had my first year in law school. You get it as a first year student, but it gets to the heart of how things proceed, how the court system works. So it does make sense now that even being a more junior justice, why she would have written this opinion. And it gets to this opinion, a lot of those questions that you've heard our other panelists bring up here about certification of class actions. It takes a lot of work. It is not easy to do. And there are cautions throughout this opinion that district court judges not now simply default to that. So I'm going to go back and find Justice Barrett.
Shannon, let me ask you one question, if you don't mind.
Jackson clearly sees this.
If you don't mind, one more question before you go back to that. So, as you've explained to us many times over the years, most Supreme Court cases end up 9-0. There's a lot of agreement. But then on these bigger cases, you do see the breakdown like this. Okay, so President Trump benefits from having a conservative majority in this court. But I think this is interesting because on this case in particular, it was Elena Kagan, one of the dissenters today in 2022, and I won't play it, I'll just read it here. It just can't be right that one district judge can stop a nationwide policy in its tracks and leave it stopped for the years that it takes to go through the normal process. So she said that in 2022. I guess that's why we've all thought it likely that President Trump would get a win here. Now it looks like he got a resounding win. But Elena Kagan went with the dissenters on this. And I'm curious about that decision, what you think is going on with the dynamics of the court with that.
Yeah, great question. So you're right. We had been watching her because she'd publicly talked about during the Biden years how this wasn't a good policy. It shouldn't be the way that the framers or the founders would have intended this to work. But during the arguments here, May 15th, and remember, this was a rare ad. They don't hear arguments in May. They did it for this case. She differentiated during the oral arguments, saying that this was a different case. This did not line up with the statements that she had made during the Biden administration, saying that this was a different situation. So we thought there that we saw from her during the oral arguments that she may peel off and go in a different direction. So she clearly has signed on to Justice Sotomayor's dissent. That's where she lands today. As to Justice Jackson and that very existential threat to our institutions dissent that she wrote, here's what Justice Barrett wrote in the majority opinion to that. She says, Justice Jackson chooses a startling line of attack that is tethered neither to the sources that they sort in coming to their conclusions or frankly to any doctrine whatsoever, waving away attention to the limits on judicial power as a mind-numbingly technical query. She offers a vision of the judicial role that would make even the most ardent defender of judicial supremacy blush. In her telling, the fundamental role of courts is to order everyone, including the executive, to follow the law full